As we talked about in our December market minute, we saw that 0% APR financing deals reached a 12-month high as it relates to actually last December. Well, we've seen those actually continue so far in January. They remain strong. If we look at less than 3% APRs, those increased in November, they increased again in December, and again, they're holding pretty steady in January. So we've seen manufacturers get much more aggressive to end out 2024, and they're staying aggressive at least what looks like to be through the spring of 2025.
Real quick, one of the more interesting starts to the year that we've seen, you have Christmas be in the middle of the week, and then all of a sudden you had New Year's be in the middle of the week. The new year started January 6th. That's really when people started to do anything whatsoever. And so we definitely saw dealers that were sitting there and be like, hey, I started off January really slow. It's like, no shit. Everybody said, okay, well, New Year's week, I'm taking the whole week off. And so we saw a lot of autoresponders coming back to us. Hey, I'll be back on the 6th or the 7th. So do not be surprised, especially when we see the 10th update, which will come out on Monday, Phil. I'm not going to be surprised if traffic overall, lead volume, etc. is just down.
This reach for zero yields and low yields comes in the face of now a 100 basis point recent increase in 3, 5, and 7-year paper. So it's more expensive for manufacturers and their finance captives to do this. So every single consumer that gets one of these loans is a lucky consumer indeed.
And on the advertising side, we've seen a big want. 0% offers have been performing fantastic while rates have been so high. Interesting tidbit here. Out of all new finance deals, only 2.4% of all deals are a 0% purchase. 2.4%, that's all of them.
I mean, 0%'s the American way. What's going on here, people?
Hey, don't forget, if it's free, it's for me.
As recently as the fourth quarter, the interest rate markets were pricing in 6 rate cuts from the Fed. All it took was a little bit of strong economic data to maybe rule out a recession for at least to the first half of 2025. I wouldn't be surprised if we pull up rate markets now and see a projection of 0 rate cuts for the rest of the year. So we're not going to get relief from lower interest rates. We're just going to have to wait for the consumer flywheel to catch, for consumers to get used to borrowing at higher rates.
And what I'm so interested in is, like, you feel at this point like they feel like they made a mistake, whether they would say it out loud or not.
It's very easy to poke fun at the Fed and to second guess their decisions. It's one of the easiest things to do is the Monday morning quarterback the Fed. Yes, I think that these rate cuts were either the markets or the political landscape ordering the Fed to cut rates, and they may have been premature, and certainly the rest of the interest rate market, the 3, 5, 7-year sector, even the 10s and 30s have shot up by an amount and a degree that we really haven't seen before in the 100 days from the start of a Fed cutting cycle. The cutting cycle might already be over. We may just figure that out over the weeks and months to come.
Obviously, if they put us at the helm, I'm just going to pretend I'm the head of the Fed. I don't think I would have cut a single time.
We are going to see a reacceleration of used car prices in 2025. We've covered it on the Market Minute. We've talked about a lack of 3-year lease roll-offs. So some of the highest quality used cars are not going to be available. It's going to create a mad scramble for mid-grade and low-grade used cars. That's a big part of the CPI. And that has been a big reason why the CPI has fallen throughout 2024. So we'll see some inflationary headwinds in 2025. The cuts probably were ill-advised. They probably shouldn't have cut at all. A 5-year short rate is not unreasonable. And so now we've got 4% short rates, and we'll all trade and merchandise accordingly. But rates are not going back to 0 anytime soon. We should all internalize that. We can't and we aren't going back to some of those rates that we've seen in the last decade. This is an interesting slide. We've cut out Stellantis. Stellantis inventory is about 40% of the light vehicle inventory in the US. And we've cut out GM here just for clarity. And you can see that Ford has got some nameplates that are at the high end of days inventory. That's our scale here. The more red, the more days you have. But overall, this is a pretty sanguine chart for the industry. Inventory levels are fine. We just have 2 manufacturers that we're going to discuss later in the Market Minute that are in some trouble. And if the Trump tariffs come through, which we're also going to dissect later, Ford's going to be the primary beneficiary of that. So In terms of inventories here, I don't think we've got any big problems to speak about other than the obvious ones at Stellantis.